Hey everybody, this is Mr. Longo, and this video has a purpose. The purpose of this video is to help you refresh your memory on solving equations for x. This is not an in-depth teach you as if you've never seen it before video. This is a review video just to help refresh your memory, okay? Now this is what we're going to do. We're going to break it down starting from the basics. The basics of getting x by itself means you have to move something to another side. Or you have to divide both sides. Like, we're going to start with one step. How do you get rid of it? How do you move it to the other side? And things look a little different, don't worry. So here we go. We have an x plus 4. We want that 4 to go away. We cannot add 4 to both sides because that would just make this plus 4 and that would make a positive 8. If you want a positive 4 to go away, you need to do the opposite. And you must do it to both sides of the equal sign. So a positive 4 and a negative 4 will cancel each other out. That's the whole purpose of it. And then we have 10 minus 4 is 6. The x is left standing, so we have x is equal to 6. That's it. Game over. Some people have been taught that you should always have x on the left. Not a true statement. It does not matter. If you want x on the left, you can rearrange this whole thing. You can pick up the x minus 3 and you can put it over here, and you can pick up 12 and put it over there. It is unnecessary. I just want you to know that if it makes you feel better, you can do that. So this says minus 3. If we want the minus 3 to go away, we must balance that. We must have a negative 3 and a positive 3 to be able to cancel. And you must do that positive 3 or adding 3 to both sides of the equal sign. That will cancel because a negative 3 and a positive 3 goes away. So you're left with x is equal to 15. Okay, 15 equals x equals 15. It's the same thing. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Again, if you would rather write x equals 15, that is absolutely fine. You're good to go. So that says 3x, which means it's 3 times x. What is the multiplication inverse? It's division. The opposite function of multiplication is division. So, if you have 3 times x is equal to 15, the opposite of multiplication is dividing both sides, okay? So 3 divided by 3 is 1. That's what's going to make this go away, and you have x. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then finally the last one. Again, if you would rather have x on the other side, you can do that. But that says x divided by 2. Just like the previous problem. What's the opposite of multiplication is division. What's the opposite of division? It's multiplication. We're going to multiply both sides by a 2. That will cancel those 2's, and we are left with 8 is equal to x, or x is equal to 8. Again, it does not matter which order. As long as you're getting 8, we're good. Okay? So, that was one step. Now, I'm going to do 2 examples of a 2-step problem. Meaning, I'm only keeping x on one side still, but you're going to have 2 steps to do. Whenever you are solving an equation, you are going in the backwards order of PEMDAS, or the order of operations, which you learned way back in the day. So, in this case, we have to get x by itself, okay? This is the goal, is we have to get x by itself. So do you divide by 2 first, or do you add the 3 first. Well, in this case, we are going to get rid of the 3 first. And pretty much every time you have 2 steps that just have an x on one side, you're going to end up adding or subtracting first. You go in the opposite order of operations. So, step 1, we add 3 to both sides because a negative 3 and a positive 3 will cancel, leaving you with just the 2x is equal to 10. Just like earlier, that says 2 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we are going to divide both sides, giving us x is equal to 5. And we are done. Okay? So just making these problems nice and simple so you can see the steps one at a time. The next example, we have an x divided by 2, and then we have a plus 3. What we want to get rid of first is the positive 3. So we have to do the opposite of a plus 3, which is a minus 3. We do it to both sides of the equal sign. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. And that is equal to x over 2 only because the positive 3 and negative 3 canceled each other. Then x divided by 2 means if we would like to get rid of that 2, we have to multiply both sides by 2. That will cancel these 2's, and that'll give us x is equal to 4. And you are done. Okay? So those were just examples of 2 steps, but x on the same side. The next 2 examples we are going to work with have x's on both sides. Okay? When you have x's on both sides, some people say bring the x to the left and the numbers to the right. Some people say you move the smaller x to the bigger x. Honestly, guys, it doesn't matter again. It's just your personal preference. Okay? So this first example works out really nice to accomplish both of them. So if you believe that x should always go to the left, or if you believe the smaller x should always be the one that's being moved, you're set up for both of those. Okay? So this is what you have to do. Try to do this one step at a time, otherwise you might get confused. This is a positive 2x. What is the opposite of a positive 2x? It is a negative or minus 2x from both sides. Okay? Again, the purpose of this is to make it go away. So this 2x and negative 2x will cancel one another. And then 5x minus 2x is a 3x. This negative 3 went nowhere, so it's still minus 3. Equals our x's disappeared, but we still have our 6. And now you must move the other one. So the next step, like we did earlier, we have to divide by 3 and we have to add a 3. And which one do we do first? You always do the adding and subtracting first if you have a 2-step. So now we're going to add 3 to both sides. That's going to give us 3x is equal to 9. And just as we discussed earlier, we are going to divide both sides now by 3 because the opposite of multiplication is division. That's going to cancel. You have x is equal to 3 when you are all done. Okay? So, the example on the right here. I'm going to show you how to do it both ways. Okay? The first way I'll show you is always move x to the left. So if you are a fan of always moving x to the left, opposite of a positive 4x is a negative 4x, so you're going to subtract 4x to both sides. That's going to give you a negative x minus 10 is equal to 4 because the positive 4x and the negative 4x canceled one another. Then You have a negative x and a negative 10, but you have to move the 10 by adding the 10 to both sides first. That's going to cancel your positive and negative 10, leaving you with a negative x is equal to 14. But then you still have this negative sign here, which is basically a negative 1. In order to make that go away, all you really have to do is multiply or divide both sides by a negative 1, which means you're really just changing the sign. So you can just multiply both sides by a negative. Remember, a negative, negative cancel each other out, and that just becomes a positive. So you are left with x is equal to a negative 14. Okay? Now, I said I would do it both ways in case you prefer the x to go to the other side, or the positive side. Again, just showing you that it doesn't really matter. So, if I would have done it the other way, this is what would have happened. I would have said, move the smaller x. Well, if we have 3x and 4x, the smaller one is the 3x, so we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. That's going to give us a negative 10 is equal to x plus 4, okay, because a positive 3x and a negative 3x will cancel. Now, I am going to subtract my 4 from both sides because that is the opposite of adding 4. Those are going to cancel. And now we are left with x is equal to a negative 14. Same answer, two different ways, doesn't really matter. Pick a method that you like. Okay, now this section we are doing x's on the same side. So if you have more than one x or more than one number on the same side, what do you do first? This is kicking it to Algebra 1, combining like terms. So you have 2x here, and you have a positive 3x there. The sign in front always goes with it, not the sign behind it. If they are on the same side of the equal sign, you do not do the minus 2x to the 3x, or if they're on the same side, you combine them. So if you have 2x's and 3x's on the left, 2x plus 3x is 5x. Okay, and then you've got a positive 4 and a negative 8. They are on the same side of the equal sign. You do not have to move anything yet. Positive 4 and a negative 8 leaves you with a negative 4. And that, of course, is equal to the 6 that's already on the right all by itself. And now you're just going to do the same thing we've done in the previous problems. How do you get rid of a negative 4? You add 4 to both sides. A negative 4 and a positive 4 cancel, which means over here you are going to add your 6 and 4 and get a 10. And all that's left on the left is a 5x. What do you do now? You divide both sides by 5. Just like we did before. The 5s are going to cancel, and now you are left with x is equal to 2 because 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay? One more time. And if you feel confident with this, give this next one a try. You can just pause the video and try it. Here we go. 5x minus 2x is 3x. Negative 10 plus 4 is a negative 6. That is equal to 12. And then you add 6 to both sides, and you get 3x is equal to 18. Divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 6. Okay? Same steps over and over. Let's put it all together, everybody. We're about to run out of time. I have a 15-minute window. So, if you need any help with these, talk to me in class, guys. This is just putting it all together, where you're combining and doing a problem all at once. All right? See ya.